Welcome to another episode of Yee's Law Journal, where we discuss hot topics and emerging issues in the legal industry in a professional yet approachable way. Grab a coffee or tea, or maybe go for a walk while you listen. Today, Anna and I will dive into one of the most dramatic recent legal developments, TikTok's roller coaster journey in the United States.
That's right, Josh. TikTok faced a major blow when the U.S. Supreme Court upheld a law requiring ByteDance, TikTok's parent company, to divest its control over the app. This decision led TikTok to cease operations temporarily on January 19th. But within just 12 hours, TikTok was back online, thanks to efforts by President-elect Donald Trump, who proposed a joint venture in which U.S. investors would hold 50% ownership to address national security concerns.
And this raises a fascinating constitutional question. Can the U.S. president unilaterally decide not to enforce a law passed by Congress or significantly alter its implementation? Let's unpack this.
From a constitutional perspective, the president's powers are indeed limited. The U.S. Constitution's Take Care Clause obligates the president to ensure that laws passed by Congress are faithfully executed. This means the president can't simply choose to ignore or rewrite laws.
Exactly. One historical precedent that comes to mind is the 1803 case of Marbury v. Madison, which established that determining a law's constitutionality is the judiciary's role, not the executive's. The president must enforce laws unless they're struck down by the courts.
However, the executive branch does have some discretion in prioritizing enforcement. For example, the Obama administration delayed deportations for certain undocumented immigrants to focus on higher priority cases. But that's about allocation of resources, not outright ignoring a law.
True. And this contrasts sharply with President Andrew Jackson's refusal to enforce a Supreme Court decision supporting Native American land rights in 1832. That created a constitutional crisis and highlighted the tensions between the branches of government.
Another key example is United States versus Nixon in 1974. President Nixon argued that executive privilege allowed him to withhold Watergate tapes, but the Supreme Court unanimously ruled otherwise, affirming that no one, not even the president, is above the law.
These cases underscore a critical principle. Compliance with laws and judicial decisions is fundamental to constitutional order. If the executive branch could ignore laws at will, it would undermine the entire system of checks and balances.
Let's bring this back to TikTok. The law in question, the Protecting Americans from Foreign Adversaries Act, doesn't give the president leeway to alter its core requirements. ByteDance must divest its control over TikTok. The Supreme Court's ruling confirms the law's enforceability. Trump's proposal of a joint venture deviates from the law's clear mandate.
And without explicit congressional authorization, any attempt to bypass or redefine the law's requirements could invite lawsuits. Affected parties might seek judicial intervention to compel enforcement, and Congress could use its powers like investigations or budgetary restrictions to hold the president accountable.
A notable difference here is that Trump's prior actions against TikTok during his first term were based on the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, IEEPA. That law grants broad authority to address national security threats, allowing for flexibility. This time, however, we're dealing with a specific congressional mandate.
Right. And while IEEPA allows more room for executive action, the current situation limits presidential discretion. This creates a legal scenario with significant implications for how executive power is exercised.
So what does this mean for TikTok and U.S. constitutional law? We're not here to debate political opinions, but to explore the legal frameworks. What do you think, listeners? Does this highlight the need for clearer boundaries between legislative and executive authority?
Let us know your thoughts. We'll continue to follow this fascinating story. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Yee's Law Journal. Stay curious, and we'll see you next time.